Hey, this video is a part 2 where I talk about the 20 most notable axed series from Weekly Shonen Jump. Last episode, I did the first 10 series, and in this video, I'll be finishing the final 10 series. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright, first up is Zipman. I've heard quite a lot about this series, but reading the synopsis, I'm not quite sure what to make of this series. The synopsis pretty much states, a pair of twins fell in love with the same girl and now they're in a competition daily to see who can make her smile more. One is a world famous engineer and the other is a scary looking knucklehead. Yeah, I don't really know what to think or expect, so here are my thoughts after chapter 1. Zipman, it was okay. Art was very solid, and so was the story. At times, it was difficult to understand the paneling, but that was few and far between. I probably won't read anymore, but it's pretty decent. Next up is Master Asumi. The synopsis is once again very short. It reads, Nito is living a quiet high school life while taking care of his disabled grandpa. But thanks to an encounter with his schoolmate striving to become a pro female MMA fighter, his life is about to flip. Sometimes, you just have to fight. This serious MMA story is an all-out battle. I'm not really feeling a sportsy manga right now, but I suppose that's irrelevant. Here are my thoughts after the first chapter. Master Asumi. It was surprisingly good. Like, the first half was pretty boring, but the second half really picked up the basic quality. The art was pretty good, and the paneling was great. I will quite likely keep reading, though this is below Tokyo Shinobi Squad. Next is the first musical manga, PPPPPP. Now, this was a meme by my friend a few years back. When I first realized I was gonna have to read the first chapter for this video, it brought back such nostalgia. But the synopsis pretty much states, Lucky, the MC, is born into a family of 7, and from these 7, she's the only one who doesn't have musical talent, while the others have inherited their father's talent, which is a lot seeing as he's extremely talented. Lucky is now ostracized as their parents are divorced, and now Lucky lives with his abusive aunt. But one day, his mother wakes up in the hospital and tells him to audition for a musical school. So he does, and he gets in. His classmate wants revenge on Lucky's dad as he overshone her mother a few years ago. Alright, being honest, this synopsis just made it sound like some sob story. But that doesn't mean it's bad. Without further ado, here are my thoughts after chapter 1. PPPPPP. I surprisingly really enjoyed reading this. The first 10 pages were pretty bad, let's say, for me at least. But then at some point, I couldn't help myself but get so immersed in the story, which is another thing I love. The story is great, but the art isn't quite on par. I thought I would be disappointed because the only other music anime / manga I've watched is Your Line April, and that was great. So I was low-key expecting this to be a letdown, but it wasn't at all. All in all, there's a good chance I keep reading. This is around the same level as Master Asumi. Alright, next up is Doron. I've heard a lot of good things about this series. The synopsis tells us the humanity is being attacked by monsters called Mononoke, and the MC is pretty much the best there is for fighting, as he's never lost a fight. And to keep his promise to his deceased mother, he wants to become a Mononoke killing samurai. But everything changes when he meets a kind-hearted Mononoke called Kusanagi. Welcome to this dark fantasy story of humans and monsters. Not gonna lie, this looks and sounds a lot like Jujutsu Kaisen. Apart from that, Yuji doesn't like curses, apart from making dogs. Nonetheless, I read chapter 1, here are my thoughts. Doron. It was just okay. It was so average, there isn't much to talk about. It was literally just average everywhere. If I had to say what was good, I'd say the characters and the story potential later down the line. The art was pretty decent too. Reminds me a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen, that's all. Alright, now it's A Gravity Boys. This is quite long for an axed manga. I don't think I've ever seen a manga that lasts 7 volumes and still gets axed. But looking at the ratings, I'm very surprised it lasted that long. Anyways, I read the synopsis and it pretty much says, in the year 2118, 4 astronauts get launched into space to pretty much conquer space, I guess you could say. But to their surprise, humanity self-destructs after just 2 days after they depart. And just after that, they get caught in a black hole. And now they're suddenly in this mysterious planet. How will humanity survive in this wacky space survival comedy? I fucking love space. I can't wait to read a manga about space. I do hope they spend some time in, space, not just in the planet, but that doesn't matter. I read chapter 1 and here's what I thought about it. A Gravity Boys. This was quite a letdown. I love space. It's just so interesting and I've always been keen to learn more. So when I learned the series was in space, I was really hyped. But this series was just meh. The pacing was weird / fluctuant, serious scenes felt rushed too, and some other things. But maybe it's because I was just expecting a lot from the series, is why I don't like it at all after trying it. Alright, now it's Noah's Notes. Not gonna lie, I've never heard the series in my life. Only while making this video, I learned about this manga. The synopsis is short. It pretty much tells us Noah is an archaeologist, but he isn't some average or run-of-the-mill archaeologist. He likes to enter buildings, guns blazing, and blowing up stuff, just to make a dramatic entry. But if you look beyond his eccentric nature, you will see that he's actually investigating the most important mission in human history. And in some way, this poor student, Kotobuki, somehow finds herself in this mess as well. This is a pretty good synopsis. I hope this series is as good as the synopsis makes it seem to be. Here are my thoughts about it. Noah's Notes. This manga was pretty good. I liked the main guy. He seemed fun, and I liked his character. The girl was sort of unlikable, but I think she was written to be like that in the start. There was only one thing that I didn't really like. It was that there were so many, let's say, suggestible scenes. There were way too many, and I don't think they were needed at all. I think this series would have gotten better and more popular with time, as it's just that kind of series. Overall, it's a good series. Alright, now moving on to Lation. I've also never heard of this series. The title I feel like sounded very cool to the author and their editor, but it kind of just looks weird? Nah, that's not the right word. Maybe like overly complicated. Like imagine popular manga, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece. All are very simple to say and write. But then there's Lation. Yeah, I think you get the point. The synopsis is very short. It reads, let's face it, civilization as we know it is dependent on computers, and hackers take full advantage of this, but Neo's a hacker for good. Together, with his tough guy partner, Daigo, they take on bad guys by hacking or old-fashioned skull crushing. A manga about hackers? Depends on how you do it, but I feel like it's a very hit or miss. I suppose I'll have to find that out after I read chapter 1, which, speaking of which, here are my thoughts about it. Lation. It was pretty good. It sort of felt like the series was trying to be funny, but at least for me, it didn't get a single laugh out of it. But it did brighten up the mood for the manga though. If I have to say something bad about the series, what kind of a name is Cracker? Are those people the food cracker? Or are they some super secret and evil group using their addiction to PCs to cause problems for everyone? And one last thing, at the very end of the series, it said, this is the story of an evil wizard who would come to dominate the dark side of town. And the only wizard we know as of now is Arata / Neo. The manga was decently good. Alright, now we move on to the Last Saiyuki. Once again, haven't ever heard of this series, but the synopsis is quite long. But it pretty much tells us the MC wants nothing more than just to have fun with his friends. But one day, he arrives home and his dad tells him that he will be adopting him a younger sister. And because he gets home a lot sooner than the dad gets home after work, the younger sister will be the main character's responsibility. While the main character understands her situation isn't something she can control or choose, he can't help but feel a bit unhappy, as it's almost like his own feelings are being ignored, only for him to learn that his younger sister is a divine being with the power to bring innate fears into real life. This synopsis sounds quite interesting. I hope the manga is as good as I hope it is. Here's what I thought of it. The Last Saiyuki. Wow. This was amazing. When I first saw this manga's title and cover art, it looked pretty boring. But while reading the chapter, I was so immersed in the story that it was insane. The art was good. The same with the concept. The only thing that I didn't really think fit in the series is the supernatural element. I was so invested in the growth of the MC and how he would approach with having to babysit his younger sister that it felt out of place for the natural element to be there. But towards the final pages of the chapter, I even started to like the concept. It was insane. There was a really good chance I continued this series. I think it might be above Tokyo Shinobi Squad. Alright, our second to last series is MamaYuyu. For this entire series, video 1 and 2, I've been waiting for this series to. I love MamaYuyu so much, but because I've already made 3 videos on MamaYuyu in the past, I won't talk about it much here, but I will have all the videos I've made about MamaYuyu in the description of this video. So do please be sure to go watch those if you want to hear me talk about MamaYuyu more. But MamaYuyu has a great art style and panel, as I'm sure you already know. The pages seem to fly by when reading, and the author really knows how to hook the reader. It really is a shame it got axed. I also really like the realism in the main character. Like, he understands there isn't really a place for him in the world, as all of his predecessors have gone down in history for having done something great. And Corleo just doesn't have that role. He doesn't have anything to do. He doesn't have anything to achieve because it's an era of peace. He understands it's for the best, but he is a hero at the end of the day. Alright, anyways, I really like MamaYuyu. This is probably top 1 or top 2. I'm gonna decide when I'm editing this. And lastly, we have Cipher Academy. I've heard of this this manga before. I've heard it was incredible and that it was such a shame that it got axed, but I haven't heard or seen anything from the story. The synopsis reads, Iroha is an average student newly enrolled in Cipher Academy, a Spartan school where students must crack code after code after code with barely enough time to catch their breath. Then, a mysterious person called Kogoe gives Iroha an unusual pair of glasses with a crazy secret behind them. Ooh, a code-breaking manga. Gonna be honest, the concept really hasn't hooked me / interested me yet. Maybe the manga will change that. I guess we'll learn after I actually read the chapter. Speaking of which, here are my thoughts after reading chapter 1, Cipher Academy. I'm not convinced the main character isn't a girl. I'm not really into the puzzle-solving agenda. It's not a bad idea. I think it's just not for me. It's hard to follow along some of the time. Overall, the art was really good, pacing was great, paneling was good, story was good, but just not for me. Decently good. And that's it. I wonder how the list ended up looking. Like, you can see on screen right now how it looks, but like, I can't. Like, I have a rough idea of what it could be, but nothing concrete. Apart from one thing, which is that Samurai 8 is definitely at the bottom. Sorry, I will keep most of those thoughts to myself. But that's the end of this 2-episode series. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please be sure to like and subscribe as I post videos every single Monday, without exceptions. And I've been doing this for like 5 months now, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!